including fallen men, right, and fallen angels. So why is this important? And again, if you disagree with me, that's fine. Part of the passivity and the crippling theology that's crept into the church is that everything that happens in your life is the will of God. Because if you believe that like, you think that God planned for you to be like sexually abused? You think that God planned and even ordained that you would grow up without one or more parents? Right? That's a like really sick view of God. Now, he can use it 100%. And in a way, you know, I heard a guy say, like, when we talk about how God doesn't cause suffering, but he does allow it, I understand that, and it's true, but it almost kind of has this, and maybe it's something I'm still working through, it kind of has this thing of like, you know, you're in your closet as a kid and your parents are fighting and Jesus is sitting in the closet with you and he's like, man, this really sucks, right? It's just like, well, you're not doing anything. That was my question. You're just like, where were you when I needed you? Right? Right? We've all said that, and multiple times. And it's because, you know, he is foreknowledge, right? He can see the good that's going to come of it. And he can redeem it, and he can use it. But to have this view, my cousin right now is suffering with cancer, and she said, man, I just really hope that I can learn the lesson that God's trying to teach me because he gave me cancer. I'm just like, what? Like, there are things in the world called like germs and like sickness. Like, it's a real thing. That will destroy your view of God. It will. Matthew 6:10 says, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The important thing to notice there is, why would Jesus have us pray, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, if his will was always done on earth as it is in heaven? A pastor friend of mine says, God rarely gets his way in the world. Because we have the choice. It's not love if it's forced, right? Because God is not punishing you in your suffering. He's not punishing you in your suffering. Now, the enemy may be having a field day with you, or the sins of others or your own sin may be playing out natural consequences in your life. You have to understand this correctly so that you can be armed for it. How do you interpret the suffering that you've experienced or are experiencing? How do you interpret it? Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the springs of life. In the throes of suffering, and this is just a little side note, in the throes of suffering, guys, you can either have God or you can have understanding, but you rarely get both. You rarely get both. I remember sitting with a mentor of mine and wanting so bad to understand why my ex left. Just like, I just want to know why it happened, because I didn't do anything and she just left, so why? What's going on? And he said, you just need to give it to God. He said, just give it to God. And I was like, no, but I want to know. And he's like, you're not going to get that yet. You're not going to get it yet. So choose God. I have so many notes and I'm running out of time, so we're going to skip a couple of things. Guys, Jesus wants to restore you. He wants to restore you. Of all the Old Testament passages Jesus could have used to describe his mission, why he came, in Luke 4, this is what he chooses. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prisons to those who are bound. Isaiah 61:1. And when Isaiah is using the term brokenhearted, he's not being like metaphorical. He's using I went to Bible college for 4 years, so forgive me. He's using a compound Hebrew conjunction. It's leb shabar. Leb meaning heart and shabar meaning broken or to rend violently. So brokenhearted, your heart can literally be broken and shattered. Jesus doesn't want to just manage like all of your pieces in that either. He wants to bring integration, right? He wants wholeness for you. So how do we go about doing that? How do we go about doing that? Some really practical resources and some practices that I have found helpful. Maybe you will, if you're a note taker, you want to start taking notes. Because this, if you want to go deeper, this things that I have found are really helpful. Choose God in your suffering, like choose him. And realize that part of the victory is in the choosing. Because you cannot choose him. So realize that part of the victory is in your saying, God, you're here, and that's it. If I don't understand anything else about this situation, let that be the one thing that I understand. You need to release people and yourself. So, I mean, some of you guys are holding on to a lot. A lot. There's a lot of shame in this room. And so you just pray, Jesus, I release whoever. And not only do I release them, I actually release myself. I give myself permission to let it all go. And that's not saying that it doesn't matter. Two books that I would recommend, The Healing Path. The Healing Path by Dan Allender. It's a great book. Really orienting for me when I was going through at the beginning of the year. Get Your Life Back by John Eldredge. Fantastic. He just lays out practices to help get your life back. Some of you guys really just need to go to counseling. And I'm not talking like coffee with a buddy. I'm talking like someone who's trained to look at your story. Because guys, when you're in it, you're too close to see everything. You need somebody that is not biased and can look at your story and talk you through it. There's an app in the App Store. It's called the 1 Minute Pause. It's free. You're welcome. Last thing, and then I have a video clip. Sorry, I know I'm going over time a little bit. Ask for Jesus' interpretation on whatever it is. Because you've got yours, and the enemy is for sure filling you with his. So ask for Jesus' interpretation on it. Whatever it is, whether it's old pain, right? Some of you have some old pain that you just buried. And guys, that stuff doesn't go away. I heard one mentor say, grief is like a beach volleyball in a pool. If you shove it down, it's just going to come out somewhere else. Some of you guys need to go back into your history and deal with some stuff. Get friends around you. Get friends around you. Get people. One of the most helpful things for me was just people. People that I could call and cry at 2 in the morning. So I want to show a film clip. John, if you'll cue that up, don't play it yet. By a movie that I hope everyone has seen. This is a perfect picture of Act 3, right? The story that we live in. Where we're at in the story is this. Eugene Peterson has this great quote where he says, what we need today in the church is not the theologian, but the artist. Because art and movies and music has a way of getting under things that mere facts and stuff just won't touch. So we're going to watch this, and then I'd love for 2 or 3 people to react to it, and then we're going to talk about it for a second, and then we'll pray and be done. But enjoy this.
The fortress is taken.
It is over.
You said this fortress would never fall while your men defend it.
They still defend it. They have died defending it.
Breaking in!
Is there no other way for the women and children to get out of the caves? Is there no other way?
There is one passage. It leads into the mountains. But they will not get far. The Uruk-hai are too many.
Send word for the women and children to make for the mountain pass and barricade the entrance.
So much death. What can men do against such reckless hate?
Ride out with me. Ride out and meet them.
For death and glory.
For Rohan. For your people.
The sun is rising.
Look to my coming at first light on the 5th day. At dawn, look to the east.
Yes. Yes.
The horn of Helm Hammerhand shall sound in the deep. One last time. Yes!
Let this be the hour when we draw swords together. Fell deeds awake.
Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the Red Dawn! Forth the Olympians!
King stands alone. Not alone. Go hit him!
Right? Right? Doesn't something in you just go like, yes? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he will come for you. He will come for you. But you must fight. You gotta fight. I'd love for just two people to react to that. What does that evoke in you?
We need to have a movie night here.
Yep. For sure.
You can't always see, like you can't always see, like, if help is coming.
Yep. Yep. One more person.
I think you said we'll go out together.
Yep.
Together.
Yep. Gotta have people with you. Man, guys, that's good. That's good. Let's pray.